All right, all right, all right. It's go time, it's go time, it's go time. We're ready, it's go time. I want to tell you that the Berklee brand is extremely strong because of the great work that you all have done and continue to do. The current Berklee stands on your shoulders. That's why we can come in here and have great energy. That's why we can come in here and be excited to see one another. That's why we can come in here and celebrate the achievements of one another, because the Berklee brand is strong. On behalf of the students who are sitting where you once sat, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for all that you have done to make sure that you have paved a way with a phenomenal legacy for those students to come behind you and to sit in the seats that you sit in and to do phenomenal work as you continue to do phenomenal work. To each of our Grammy-nominated alumni, we celebrate you today. This is your moment. We celebrate you. Let's celebrate them. We celebrate you. I am so excited for the program that we have for you. There will be some breakout sessions that we'll have upstairs, and we'll spend even more time with more food and one another, even as people are coming in. But I want to tell you that there are some extremely exciting things that are going on at the institution. And I'm going to bring one up shortly to tell you about it. But I'm actually very excited because someone told me, actually I can see her in front of me, that Paris Strother is in the house. Paris! And if you don't know the work that Paris and Amber, her twin sister, are doing, y'all need to check it out. What I love about the table in front of me is filled with family. And I want to thank all the family members who are in here for how you have inspired and encouraged your beloved to keep on keeping on, whether your spouses, whether your siblings. We don't do what we do by ourselves. We do it in community and in fellowship with one another. That's why the networking is so important, because we need each other. We need to send that phone call. We need to send that text message. We need to send that email. We need to send that note, because that's the power of Berklee. Whether it's the College of Music, the Conservatory, online, Valencia, New York, Abu Dhabi, that's the power of Berklee, to come together and to support and encourage one another. We have been led in the last year and a half by a courageous individual who was actually hired a year and a half to be our executive vice president for academic affairs and our provost, the leader of our curriculum, the leader of all the things that you all experienced. And all of you know, we don't have to hide it, we had a little transition at the institution. And in the midst of the transition, there was one who stood tall and said that I can lead this institution in this season. I'm here to tell you that he is led with a balance of courage and humility. He's led with a balance of hearing and speaking. He's led with a balance of collaborating and bringing people together and challenging us to rise and be the best that we can be. He is led in a way that says we acknowledge the trials and the tribulations, the stresses and the anxieties that we have dealt with in this institution, and yet we aspire to be better. Major, why? Because we have hope. Yes. Hope. Hope. We have hope. We have hope. I'm not going to bore you with his extensive CV and his resume. You know, he's been at Emerson College, he's been at Emily Carr, he's been at RISD, he's been at Micah. But the most important thing that you need to know is that he is here right now, leading us forward, leading us in a way that brings all of our learning expressions together so that we have one Berklee that is not competing with itself, one Berklee that is proud of who we are, one Berklee that will lead both the industry and all the creative industries in the future together. Our interim president and executive vice president for academic affairs and our provost, Dr. David Bogen. Give him some love.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Emmett Price, for that wonderful introduction. I have to say, I'm no reverend, but I am so proud to be here, standing in front of all of you. So proud of the work all you are doing, and honored to be on the same stage as Emmett. I've attended many of the events that he's emceed and had to step into this extraordinary space that he creates for the next speaker, and I'm going to try and hold up my end of the bargain. As Emmett said, I'm the interim president and provost at Berklee. I joined the institution a little over a year and a half ago. So, and my main job today is actually to welcome all of you, which is kind of ironic because probably many of you have been to this event many more times than I have, right? So I want to see the hands of the first timers here. Who's here for the first time? Okay. So let's give a big welcome to all the people who are here for the first time, including me. Come on. This brunch is a hallmark of Berklee's alumni activities in Los Angeles and our alumni activities in general, and has been a signature event for bringing together members of the Berklee community from the LA area for 33 years. And I want to say, as alums of Berklee, you and the community you hold, the community you make, are so important to everything we are in everything we do at Berklee. So most importantly, I want to thank all of you, the alumni in attendance, including those who earned recognition this year, either as Grammy nominees or as contributors to Grammy-nominated projects. But this is really to all our alumni. We're so proud of your hard work, your talent, your commitment to this community. Could I get a round of applause by the people for the people? Okay. So this is the part where I report on some updates from campus, and I'm going to be brief. One of the things that has really been a focus this past year, both at Berklee and Boston, and I want to say across the entire network of Berklee sites and Berklee communities that we represent, and that's been the work of recovery, rebuilding, of sort of getting our community back together in the wake of the pandemic. Do you remember that thing, the pandemic? It was kind of a disruptive event in all of our lives. This morning I was reading the New York Times. I don't know if anybody saw this article. You know Elmo, right? From Sesame Street. Elmo sent out on his account on X the question. It just went like this. Elmo is checking in. How's everybody doing? Got 9,000 responses in about 2 hours. Turns out it's kind of a mixed bag out there. And I want to say a lot of this, obviously it's not all about pandemic, it's about how we're working with one another, for one another or not in the world. We face a lot these days. And what we've been working on at Berklee is really pulling the community back together, beginning to look at some of the things that we do face to face and really commit to restoring a sense of community. We've embarked on a project of forging a unified mission and vision and strategic plan for all of Berklee, for the conservatory, the college, Valencia, Berklee, New York City, Abu Dhabi, Berklee Online, and all of the connected sites around the world. And we've centered that work on the founding histories of the college and the conservatory as anchor arts institutions in the city of Boston, and on the vision of Berklee as a global community of musicians, performing artists, educators, and professionals working and innovating across a diversity of geographies and of fields. In the fall, we focused on developing the mission and vision. We workshopped, we surveyed, we pop-upped, we synthesized. It was an iterative process involving over 3,300 individuals across all of Berklee. And we'll be presenting the final drafts coming out of this process to the Board of Trustees for their review in the upcoming meeting on February 9th. The second thing I want to talk about is the presidential search. This fall, Berklee began the process of searching for its next president. A search committee led by Berklee trustee Bill Kaiser has begun engaging the community through an extensive series of in-person and virtual listening sessions. And as I mentioned, some surveys, and the alumni have been involved in that. The insights and feedback have provided the committee a great understanding of what is needed in the next president, and they've completed the position description, which was just announced yesterday. So please stay tuned for this process. Everything I just said can be summed up in, we're looking for a new president. Please help us with this work. Okay. Finally, and this is the last thing, right, before I introduce our performer. Finally, as we look to Berklee's future, I also want to take a moment to reflect back on the legacy of Lee Burke, Berklee's second president and namesake, who I think, as all of you know, passed away suddenly this past October. Over his remarkable 38-year career at Berklee, including 25 years as president, Lee's contributions left an indelible mark on this community. Also on contemporary music education, also on the music industry and the arts, and on arts education as a whole. Under Lee's leadership in the late 1980s and early 90s, people like Larry Monroe and Curtis Warner began growing Berklee on the Road, the Berklee International Network, and the educational programs and supports for young people in the city of Boston and the region that became City Music and the City Music Network. Their approach was to connect with festivals, music schools, and community centers to develop relationships, in effect, using the organic patterns of gathering and building relationships through music and musical performance as an organizational principle. It is how we are built as an educational institution. Through this work, Berklee became the outwardly facing, richly diverse, and globally connected institution we know today. To honor Lee's incredible life and his immense impact, we'll be hosting 25 tributes, a concert celebrating Lee Elliott Burke on April 26th. That's it from Boston. I could bring you some miserable weather. I think that's the other. I think we're getting it, aren't we? Anyway. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our featured performer, Roberto Hermosillo. Roberto is a guitarist, singer-songwriter, and educator who earned his Master of Music degree from Berklee, Valencia. His guitar playing showcases mastery across genres from classical and jazz to pop, and he's performed around the world with artists including Hector Quintana, Flora Margo, and Christian Chavez. As Fender Play's resident Latin music expert, Roberto has shared his expertise through on-camera instruction and writing curriculum for the Fender Play app. Please give a warm Berklee welcome to Roberto Hermosillo.
Hello. I'm Roberto. That's all you need to know. Right, it's fantastic to be here. Who's excited to be here right now? I'm just so happy that we can actually be together, talk to each other, and connect. And that's the thing that I was talking to Dr. David. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is all about connecting with each other, and making art and connecting with others. So I'm gonna play a couple of songs. I hope you like them. Thank you. Sorry, there's this really important guitar magazine where I read that guitars sound better when you tune them. So, it's true. For everyone. So, one of the best things for me to go to Berklee was the fact that I could be weird and people were cool with it. Who felt a little bit like an outcast full of outcasts at Berklee? I did. I felt like I didn't belong where I came from in my undergrad. And then I got to this place where, oh, it's okay to be me. Doesn't matter who you are. It's okay to be you musically and every other way. And that was beautiful. And I'm a classical guitarist that writes songs and produce and do all this stuff. And I'm going to teach you a song in Spanish because ¿alguien aquí habla español? Coño, pues hagan ruido, coño. Hagan más ruido los latinos. Eso. I wrote this for a Berklee gal that broke my heart. And it goes like this. ¿Cómo estás, amor? ¿Cómo estás, amor? Now you, ¿cómo estás? Perfect. Perfect. Give yourselves a hand. Come on. It means how are you, my love? I haven't seen her since I wrote the song. I hope she likes it. Sé que lo nuestro terminó muy mal. Tú me dijiste que no me hablarías jamás. Pero hoy que la tierra ha comenzado a temblar, yo te quisiera preguntar. Here's where everybody sings. ¿Cómo estás, amor? ¿Cómo estás, amor? My world is falling apart and I just like to know. Let's hear it, Berklee. ¿Cómo estás? You sound beautiful. No se derrumba y yo quiero saber. Almost 6 months y yo no sé nada de ti. You're still stuck in my mind, I'm dreaming con tu ombligo. Yo sé lo que me diste was like poison for me, pero sigo prendido y quiero estar contigo. Yo sé muy bien that you are not for me. Las olas de tu mar me hicieron infeliz. Lo que no sé is how to resist the urges that I'm getting just to pick up the phone and ask. Let's sing it, Berklee. ¿Cómo estás, amor? ¿Cómo estás, amor? Que el mundo se derrumba y yo quiero saber. ¿Cómo estás, amor? Beautiful. This world is falling apart and I just like to know. My keyboard player from Venezuela, Saúl Bolaño. My drummer from Venezuela, my brother. Dime cómo le hago para que todos esos sueños se cumplan. Quiero verte progresar. Niña, yo te quiero ver cantar. Y dime cómo le hago para que todos esos sueños se logren. Quiero verte sonreír. Niña, yo te quiero ver reír. Pues conmigo no hay camino que no te lleve a esos sueños, o tal vez a una ventana al mar. Y dime cómo le hago para que todos esos sueños se cumplan. Quiero verte progresar. Niña, yo te quiero ver cantar. Y dime cómo le hago para que todos esos sueños se logren. Ay, quiero verte sonreír. Niña, yo te quiero ver reír. Pues conmigo no hay camino que no te lleve a esos sueños, o tal vez a una ventana al sol. Thank you very much, my friends. Have a good day.
Y'all, I want to thank you for coming. I know you could be anywhere. I know I made you drive to Monterey Park, so thank you so much. But good turnout, so I don't know. Mixed feedback. Thank you, Eastside. I'm really excited about this. I'm not going to read through her whole bio. It's in the program. We're going to have a nice conversation, but if y'all will join me in welcoming to the stage our very own Miss Paris Strother. Paris inspired me a lot, y'all. She's a lot of the reason why this is remixed so much. I really wanted to celebrate all of these beautiful faces and the way that this local community co-creates what we have here. I think that is so important for us to emphasize. When we go upstairs, you'll see that I've gone a little hard on decorations. There is a little gallery walk of the sessions that we've done together out here. So if you are new in town and you want to know, like, what's this alumni thing about? Please go walk through. We can have the conversations that you're wondering about. You lead this programming. So please keep us in the loop. Let us know what you need. And please let me know who I can introduce you to. Because people like Paris are just here. They're just here and willing. And how special and magical is that for people? I love it. We really wanted to ground this in what we've been doing. So I thought I'd kick off by doing something that I do at our most recent, newest type of programming. We call it Reverb On. It's a little bit like this. We sit and we chat, and I get to share conversations. But I start that off with, how did we get connected? Our story is a little bit different. We've known each other a long time. Mm-hmm. What is your memory of us meeting?
I remember spending time in Las Vegas. I worked for the Berklee Office of Admissions, and we would go and audition people all over the world. But you were stationed in Las Vegas, I think, and you came to help out. Oh, it was your high school, I believe, that we talked to.
You went to my high school.
Yeah, so that's how we connected.
Yeah, I was still in school. Paris had graduated. She called me and she said, "Are you in Vegas?" And I said, "Are you?" And then we went on a roller coaster. And I'm terrified of roller coasters. So that just goes to show you how special she is, because I did it, because she's very cool, and I wanted to be friends with her. So I did, and I screamed the whole time. But that just goes to show you that, like, our connectivity and the way that we give back, right? We stay connected to Berklee. You jumped right in, right after grad, wanting to be a voice of what this experience is about. And this is what happens from it. And we've stayed connected this whole time. So it's such a beautiful anecdote of what our volunteerism, what our generosity of spirit does in this community. So thank you for being a wonderful example of that.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, let's get into it. I want to go back to that moment. For those of you that don't know Paris, I'm going to tease a little bit of her journey. You should definitely dive in. There's a very comprehensive bio in the program. But I want you to tell us how you experienced the moment when you made the story video.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because for me, it was such a moment. We met, I think I had just moved out to LA, and you were like, "I'm doing this thing." And it really worked. And I think for us, we are always trying to manifest these moments that work. And so I really want to ask you, how did that come to you? It wasn't like there was a trend of people making videos like that. If you could describe it, it was so you.
Yeah, so this was right after I finished Berklee. I was actually at my post as the special programs coordinator at the Thelonious Monk Institute of Jazz. During this time, I knew I wanted to do music. I knew I wanted to kind of do my own thing. I had been in LA auditioning for everybody, but it was a real call from inside to do something with my twin sister. And so I was at the Monk Institute and kind of had some resources around me. I knew I wanted to do something very special and visual for this song that we had made. So just kind of cut up construction paper. It was really just something that I saw, wanted to do, wanted to have like a really interesting kind of visual representation. But it was just kind of following an instinct of trying to make visually what I was hearing in my mind.
You received it and you made it. Yeah. I think it's so interesting because we're all sort of hearing voices of what we should do. And I know nobody was like, "Hey, Paris, you should sit down and cut out some construction paper, and then you should make this brilliant video by yourself," right? Nobody handed you that strategy, and it exploded. It exploded. It was received so well. So how did that feel for you, and what did that feel like? And how did it ground the way that you keep walking your path?
It was very exciting to kind of see the feedback that we were getting. It all kind of happened in one day where it just kind of had this viral moment. But for us, it was a really big testament to just following your heart, following your soul, following your sound.
Following your gut.
Yeah.
Yeah, your voice. You're such a grounding presence in my life for that. And for those of you who are really wondering and thinking about your authenticity, I really want you to hear what Paris says. And please come up to her afterwards. She's managed to be herself this whole time. And that is so very hard. Roberto, you spoke to it a little bit. I don't know where you went. I lost you. But that thing that makes us feel like we can't just be us is so real. And especially in our spaces, especially as creatives. And so it's such a wonderful thing to have the example of like, it can work. It does work. And it's amazing when it does because it's like nothing else. It's just you and no one can do that except you. Yeah? Okay, let's get into the meat. Since that happened, you've worked on Grammy-nominated and award-winning albums with Coldplay, Robert Glasper. I'm just reading because the Leon Bridges, projects for artists Corinne Bailey Rae, Jill Scott, Camilla, Nile Rodgers, Avicii. Talk to me about collaboration. How do you keep that connectivity and lean into collab, but keep that integrity of your artistry and your own voice? What is that like?
I think collaboration is very important and also such an opportunity for growth. I think even post Berklee, I decided to step into the role of lifelong student. So I treat collaborations, whether it's with other artists, producers, orchestrators, engineers, as a learning opportunity.
Yes. Lots of different styles.
Yeah, there's
lots of different personalities.
Yeah, but I think maintaining your own kind of identity, sonic identity, and learning how to make a common ground with the people that you are collaborating with is very imperative and important.
And I love that you grow off each other, right? I think that's that's again what we're talking about, our connectivity. So many of us grow alongside and with and because of each other. And we're such a wonderful example of that. Thank you for that. So the debut album got rave reviews, NPR, New York Times, Pitchfork, Billboard, all of the things. And then I remember this. I think it was a scream hurled around the world when the Grammys were on. And we saw you because you were nominated alongside, both of you, Beyonce, Rihanna, and Anderson .Paak with no label, no backing, doing it your way. Tell me what that meant to you and tell me how it relates to your choice of being independent in what you do.
Yeah, and independence for us was the obvious path. We started just by following our own heart, and it was even in the lyrics of how we wanted to kind of represent ourselves. But I think ultimately what independence has granted us is the time and space for development. We really got to have the opportunity to get to know ourselves through all these different experiences. I will say that with a lot of entities that we did look to partner with, a lot of them wanted us to change in one way or another. But we did get our start. One of the first people who kind of reached out and took us under their wing was Prince. And he was very serious and very adamant about independence, ownership, and also staying true to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like it makes sense. We know Prince's story. That's such again, lessons, right?
Yeah. And it also, just kind of having a titan like that in your corner made going into these different meetings with knowing that you have the support and someone always standing behind and encouraging you to be yourself and not to change was
really affirmed. We talked about those outside voices. There's all these outside voices. You talked about that influence, this conformity that could be a gravity center. How do you cultivate your authentic voice? Especially now, I don't even want to talk about it with social media. There's so much being pushed. That is the roadmap. That's the way. This is the thing. How do you navigate that now, knowing that you've even proven that you don't have to do what everybody's doing, but it still comes, yes?
Yes. I fully believe that. I'm fully into authenticity. I think that it speaks louder than most things out there. I think that if you can quiet everything down and find your inner compass and find who you are as an artist and what you want to sound like as a sound, I think that will lead. Yes. And in our experience, it's been the music that has kind of grown us up into the experiences that were appropriate and right for us. It's been such a journey to actually be on the other side of when you stand in demand and claim your territory kind of sonically. Yes. We are now kind of seeing that not wavering from our idea of independence has been like our strongest asset.
It's brought all these collaborations too, right? Like they're looking at exactly what you do and they want some. They want some. We all do. I want to ask you what we have to look forward to. I kind of know because we talked, but I would like you to humble brag because this is the only way that you do it, and let them know what you're working on because I'm super excited. I know that there's going to be a wow around the world when we finally get to see this new music. So please share.
We are working on our second album to follow up from our debut. And it has been just the greatest gift of my life to work on, to feel like I could devote my time to this record. It is everything I could have imagined it would be. It's been a lot of hard work, a lot of kind of silencing the world, a lot of me and Amber kind of spending time together and getting to, we're twin sisters, so we're in the womb together, of course, but really getting to know each other now and meeting the world, greeting the world as knowing ourselves better. So the music, it feels like a deep reflection of kind of a lot of introspection.
I love that. I'm so obsessed with the fact that you guys get to do this together. Like, I can't even imagine the synergy. I can't even imagine that feeling of like getting to walk this path that you see for yourselves and knowing that you've really done it. I know it's right here, it's locked and it's loaded all the time. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And tell me, just as a last anecdote, tell me a little bit what this community has meant to you and what it's been like to sort of start into this huge world, right? We have like 4 years and then high school's done and then 4 years and then college is done. And then it's like, oh, this is just the rest of your life. So go forth.
I really do believe in the lifelong student thing. It feels like I moved to LA and it was like graduate school for me. I do try to take the experiences as lessons. You know, when things are very hard or difficult, I count it as a class. You know, when you spend more money and you don't actually do the project or whatever it happens, I'm like, oh, that's tuition. You know, everything is accounted for in experience. So for me, like the opportunity, whether things are good or bad, whether a project or a collaboration ever comes out, the journey, the experience of it. So Berklee was amazing for that. It was 4 years of being with peers. I think Roberto said it earlier. No matter where you were in high school, like getting to college, you found your people. And it was so epic to be around people where just music runs our heart, you know? And so walking down the hallway, I was humbled every day and I would call home just thrilled that I could talk to people about music. Yeah. So having that, coming out to LA, finding more of these people, but having had the foundation to really become ourselves, to really grow into that, Berklee was a wonderful incubator.
Do you feel like, for me, I know like I had my folks on campus and the people that I was close to as a student, but like looking around this route, like a lot of the people that I'm close to, I met after. Did you have the same experience? It was sort of you get here and how did you make those connections? How did you dig deep in Los Angeles for our folks who are new to LA? Like give them a little nugget.
No, I just think that these kind of events, kind of connecting with people, remembering that we are more alike than we are different, has been really, really important out here. I think post-graduation, kind of finding your tribe, finding your people, and finding the support. And again, with other relationships, it's very important to know yourself and having kind of the spirit of discernment and knowing when people are pouring into you from a genuine place.
Yes,
but yeah, there's so much support out there. There's so many resources. And I think being at Berklee in Boston kind of prepared me in learning how to find those resources.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you all. This has been wonderful. Thank you, Major.
Thank you all so much. That concludes our program.